But long-term happiness. Long-term happiness is lots of grilling, for sure. Lots of grilling. Being able to learn how to fish. Something I like for real, learn how to fish. Like being very skillful at it. Being able to canoe. Yeah, canoeing, rowing, whatever, you know what I mean? Like I said, having a lake that does not have fucking gators or anything that can bite my ass out, but a lake, and I said it's private. And it's just away from the noise. Being able to live in a place where it's just away from the noise, I think that's long term. Like that's how I see long-term happiness, things in the long run. After I'm done achieving a lot more of these goals. I mean, I'll constantly be achieving goals until I'm gone, but just the foundational goals, I'll say that, the foundational goals. After that, I would love to just have I really don't want to get into a situation where I'm talking at you. I want to talk to you. I want you to feel heard. I want myself to feel heard. My objective is to remove the suffering when I'm in conversation with people. That's what I intend to do. And if I see that you are still looking for chaos, then I'm out.
Roll me, Mac.
What are the masks that you bear, past and present? So, number one, the mask that I bear is one of a professional at work. Carry yourself like, if you're like around the people you love and y'all just jawing off and shit like that, is not going to go well at work. So carrying yourself with this level of professionalism, I'd say that's definitely a mask when you're around people of business, people in business and shit like that. And I'm not talking about to the point where you got to kiss ass, just knowing that there's a language and mannerisms to carry yourself when you are at your place of business, whatever that may be. Now, for some people, depending on what field they went into, they probably can behave as such, continuously doing that. Like if you have a job as playing video games all fucking day, you get the luxury of just being whoever it is that you were. But for some of us who've joined, especially those of us who have joined the military and want to succeed and things, there is a certain way to carry yourself, right? At work, and getting things done, and especially like talking on the phone and shit like that. And I know for sure that I know, looking back at my younger self, 19, 20 years old, answering the phone the way I did back then versus the way I answer the phone right now are two different people. That person was like, fuck that shit, I'm being real, whatever real means. And now it's like, how do I want to make that person feel when they're calling, right? Do I want them to have a pleasant call when they're on the phone with me, or do I want them to feel like, oh my God, I feel like I'm bothering them type shit? And that's just something that I kind of keep in mind as far as like wearing that mask. Another mask to wear, of course, present around my peers, the leadership thing. There's times where I love to not have to be involved with anything and just stay to my fucking self, which is why I definitely like my time to self, because I don't have to govern anything. But as a responsibility when it comes to leadership, ensuring that the tribe feels safe, their people feel safe, your peers around you, it comes with a mask with that. And there is a frightened little boy behind the mask that's running it, interesting enough. But it goes to practice. Practice makes progress. And it's not something that you're going to have just off gate. But if you practice enough, there is confidence that grows with that. Now, it's not like you're pretending to be something that you're not. Well, initially, maybe. But the way I look at it, you're obtaining another skill to have, to carry on, that may become of use to you. When I don't have to be concerned about running things or whatever that is, making decisions and all that, peace. The peace is there. But I do know that things run a lot smoother when there is a plan for shit. So, that being said, when it comes to time for a man to lead, I will answer that call most of the time. Still learning things about myself that might not necessarily be, it might not be there yet. But for what I do know, and for the effort I try to put forth, when I believe that it has something to do with me and my abilities to lead, I will set forth and do it. But if it's not my business, it's not my business. I love to turn that shit off. That's for sure. But yeah, I would say that is a mask. There is a mask for that as far as that goes when it comes to essentially like making a decision on something, leadership and shit like that. It just makes things flow a hell of a lot smoother. I know the times in my life where, especially around women, girls, whatever, where I let them do whatever. I let them make all the decisions and shit. And initially, everything was okay. It was fine. But as time progressed, resentment would sit in. And all of a sudden, it's like, how come you didn't come up? I wish you would sometimes come up with like the vacation or some shit like that. And it's like, but you want to do it. Whatever you want, that's what I want to give you. That is a man's logic right there. Whatever she wants, I just want her to be happy. That's the toxic mindset. Happy wife, happy life bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever she wants, she gets. All those toxic things that they've made, I'll say some of us believe, was healthy. But no, having a plan, having a decision made, having the ability to set a boundary, having the ability to, say, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Not on my watch. You know what I mean? That type of thing. To have that in you it actually works to your betterment. And and as far as the situation goes. Now, for women that actually value men, they'll appreciate that. They understand that you're essentially looking out for them in the long run, in the long scheme of things, something they may not be able to see. But for those that want to be on their own and they don't want to listen to guidance, they don't want to listen to leadership, you get what you get. You know what I'm saying? And but like with that leadership thing, when I don't have to make a decision, when I don't have to do this, oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's blissful. And like I said, it's something that just from practice, and we just turned on to do that, to make that decision. And I mean, it'd be nice to be lazy, right? It'd be nice to be lazy, but laziness gets you nowhere. I mean, there are times where that comes, and sometimes it's all too familiar because I remember how non-productive I used to be. So like being able to turn on the switch, right? To be effective, to make something happen is it's a gift, and I'll say a curse. Because like I said, when you get that feeling of laziness creeps back in, it's contagious. And then sometimes you can get off course. And as the great Jim Rohn likes to say, 1 week of neglect can cost you a year of repair. So having those standards and rituals to practice daily keeps you on this path of either steady or moving up, one of the two, but not going backwards. So the leadership, I say like the leadership mask. Then there's that mask. I don't really have a name for it, but I'm sure some can relate to it. When you're like in public places and people in line want to have conversations with you about whatever the fuck this is. Like, can you believe the price of bananas today? yeah, the price of banana. Whatever, something like that. Now, I don't get into this, I would say fake happiness. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, this, oh yeah, great, wow, good, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I don't allow myself to be disrespectful to them, but I also don't allow myself to not do something I commonly wouldn't do, if that makes sense. One of the things lately, be in the gym, and I don't talk in the gym. There is I'm not there to talk. The only time I'm talking is probably when I'm getting like a protein shake on the way out from the smoothie garden at, the LA Fitness that I go to. And, I've developed a rapport with the ones that own that shop. But as far as working out, man, like it'd be some people sit there and try to tell you the history of why this machine is this number for your abs and stuff like that. It'd be older cats, you know what I'm saying? I'll see them and I'll see them have conversations and I'm like, good, I'm glad they're over there. But then it like certain times where you got to share a machine and then the conversation kind of cuts off the rhythm. I would say that where what I'm doing as far as like trying to get in and get out, there are days where I don't feel like working out, honestly. So it's like, all right, let's get this shit over with. As they say, swallow the frog first, you know what I'm saying? And I just want to get this shit over with. And talking prolongs that. Yeah, it's different. Like if I go to the gym with like, maybe if I go to the gym with like my best friend or something like that, whenever I'm in town in like Miami or something like that. Yeah, hold a conversation a little bit. Just enough, you know what I'm saying, to talk about whatever was going on, unless something serious is going on, something like where a vent session needs to happen. But for the most part, I'm a mute in the gym. So like there's that mask to be worn. Like I said, I really don't know how to describe that mask, but that mask where I don't want to be rude. So I'm gonna let you say your piece for a little bit, engage with you a little bit, but I gotta get back to it. And I've had to cut people off sometimes, and sometimes it's hard for people to do because they feel like they don't want to be rude. But you're invading my space now. This is my sanctuary that keeps me going. This is where I find peace. And so I look at those masks. In the past, I touched on the present mask. Okay, so the past mask, people pleaser, right? That mask, wanting to make everybody happy around me, wanting to be there for everybody. Who told you to? Directly, no one. But indirectly, because of certain situations which would come up, it was like trying to keep the peace, trying to avoid confrontation, trying to prevent this group from being upset with this group type thing. And yeah, that people pleasing was a mask that I wore for a very, very long time. And just being so caught up in my own mind, really, and not feeling enough. So people pleasing was going to make me enough. It was going to get me the love that I felt like I didn't have. I would finally have it. All I had to do was please you. But the thing about people pleasing, it's a never-ending story, no pun intended. So what you do with that is people, once they know that they can get something from you, they're going to keep going back to the well until that bitch is dry. And if you are still looking for love, that water never runs out. Eventually, when you realize that the love that you were looking for, you had the whole time, Dorothy, in the Wizard of Oz, you had the tools to get what you wanted the whole fucking time. That love was there. You had it the whole time. But in that people-pleasing mask, let me just do this. Let me do it. No, it's okay. I'm gonna go out of my way. I'll do this. I'll do this for you because whatever reason. Oh, you're so nice and thoughtful. That's so great, John. You're such a nice person. And then when it's time for you to be in need of something, ain't nobody there for you. So after a while, you're gonna find a breaking point. You're gonna get to the point where you're gonna learn to love yourself. You're gonna learn to give yourself all the love you've been trying to give to people. You know what I mean? And realizing that you're not responsible for them. You're not responsible for their happiness. None of that shit. So let people be upset. But if you've been raised where you had to kind of monitor the people's emotions around you, yeah, you're gonna become a motherfucking people pleaser. And after a while, that shit get draining, man. It get draining, and you just want you never realize how great it feels to be alone, and the peace of being alone. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy being around like the people that I value in my life, but when you have those moments where nobody's asking you for shit and it's just you by yourself, whether that's an hour, like if you're a mom or some shit, you get like an hour before the kids get home. You get like a father who's, sitting in that damn driveway before going inside having to deal with the bullshit that's about to transpire. Or, just like having a day off, right? You work, like the way you work, you work heavily, you know what I'm saying? You work a lot of hours, you work a lot of days, and you just get one day and there is nothing going on. Like the peace, that it don't cost much to me, it doesn't cost much to have peace. But when you people please, it seems like there's never a break. And that was a mask that I wore for a very long time. I wanted to people please. I wanted to make sure I was there for everything. I felt like that was my role. My ego was running the show. So that is, that I'll say essentially that's a mask. So, you look at those masks that I've shared. The leadership mask, I don't know how to describe that mask, like being out in public places, the mask of people pleasing, and then the mask of professionalism at the job, right? I know what to say to get people what they need from a business standpoint and go back to my own fucking world. Like I love, like as far as work goes, I have, I'll have like one headphone in. I make sure I put that on the left side so it doesn't, one I can hear if anybody needs something on the right side. But over here, I'm in my own, I'm just in my own place of peace. Classical music, instrumentals, or sometimes R&B, soul. If there's like a new hip hop album, I'm like, oh, okay, heard from them in a minute. Bam, I put that on, and I'll check that out and see what's going down, or a book, or my studies. You know what I'm saying, like the YouTube studies I do daily. You know what I mean? But those are the masks that I believe I carry from day to day and in the past. Who are you proud to know was from your area growing up? Timberland, Missy. Middle school days at John Yates. The first time hearing Up Jumps the Boogie, Boogie Jumps Me. It was a joke. I'm like, oh wow. there's people from Virginia that are famous, right? And so it really started, for me, it started with that. It really started with that. I remember hearing about Joe Smith getting drafted to the Golden State Warriors, and he was from our area too. And also, I mean, I was late bloomer. I didn't realize that Bruce Smith from the Buffalo Bills, who had, prominence in the NFL. I mean, he was a monster. In the NFL, he also went to Tech. He went to Virginia Tech. And then, of course, yes, Allen Iverson, Bubba Chuck, as those of us from our area refer to him as, like, we know him. I don't know. I've never met him personally. But yeah, Timberland and Missy, because I was a big music head and I was, again, still trying to fit in. And, it's from our area. So, like, what better way to fit in than learn the hip hop that's around your area? So, Tim and Missy, but they were good. It's not just that they were from our area, but they were great at what they did. Those type of producers. And then later on through high school, of course, the Clipse, right? And then Neptunes. Learned that the Neptunes were from Virginia Beach. Now we're in Suffolk, and that's like maybe 45 minutes, depending on how you drive. That's away from us, but it's still our area. So there's that, like, being a aspiring, producer for myself. I looked at these guys, these are mentors. I want to do what they're doing. I want to play. I want to have the creativity that Missy and Timberland would always have. Like, it was a joy waiting for that summer record that was going to come out, right? Like, She's a Bitch, Sock It To Me. That summer, being at my grandma's house and seeing the I Can't Stand the Rain video for the first time. Hearing Missy on Gina Thompson's record, The Things You Do, and her how. Like, I was infatuated with the fact that they're great at what they do and they're from our area. It was inspiring. That's what it truly was inspiring, like, as a young kid. Same with Timbo. Like Timberland, Timbo the King, whatever you want to call him, Thomas Crown. The creativity in which he had, and a lot of people, especially our area, give him a goose shit for, like, the what the fuck is he talking about on the record type things that he would say on record. But I enjoyed him. I enjoyed listening to Magoo. I did, because it's just part of what it was. Like in the song. Now he ain't about to battle no damn body. He ain't be getting lyricists of the year. I carry a song. I carry what it was, like Clock Strikes remix. I'ma kill you all like OJ. This Maganu for real, you must pay. Like, it meant something to be from our area, to see this on, like I said, to see this on TV. Like, at least for me, this is back when I was attached to my stars and entertainers and everything. I used to have this attachment to all things entertainment, my wrestlers, comedy actors, comedy actresses, stand-up comedians, whatever. It was an attachment. I made it me, So for, like, these guys were, like I said, they were inspiring to me, because when it came to lunchtime in middle school, that's what we did. We would, bang on the table. That's where we learned, that was where we learned how to make beats. And that's what, like, like, John, do a beat or whatever. So we would do that. We rap, or, some of us have our own raps. It'd be funny. I don't remember hearing anybody that was serious about rap. If we did a rap, it was about being funny and shit. Like, talking about going to McDonald's or something that was not what the actual song was about. But when we heard, Clock Strikes, when we heard, like I said, Missy, and then 11th grade, I remember it like it was yesterday. April of 11th grade. The first time watching on Rap City this video with these people that are clearly in Norfolk. I think that's where the video was done. And these two brothers, dark-skinned brothers, the Clipse, this beat grinding. I'm just like, what is this shit? That was the high school lunch table beat of the year. I promise you, if you were in an Ansman, it's not, I don't know how many times you would hear that being banged on a lunch table, on a desk in a class, but it was like an anthem. It was an anthem for me. I loved it. Like I said, I couldn't get enough of this beat. And then there was the song Virginia, and they, for their album, Lord Willing. And that right there, that still stands out to me. The melody that the Neptunes used for the Virginia record, to this day, is still one of my favorite. Like, that is, it's a non-skipper song, you know what I'm saying? Like, for me, there's a few songs that I will not pass up if I hear it turned on, you know what I mean? Like, back that thing up. Human Nature by Michael, obviously. I Can't Help It by Michael. Heartbreak Hotel by the Jacksons. Come Back to Me by Janet Jackson. Let's Wait a While. Like, there's certain records that I am not about. Oh shit, let that bitch play. Let that bitch play out. You catch it on the radio whenever somebody has the radio, because I don't play radio. But if I hear that song, it's going to play. And like Virginia, of course, being from Virginia, that was a joy. It felt like you felt connected, if you will. You felt connected, trying to think, yeah, we from Virginia, yes. It ain't got shit to do with us. But back then, it's like, yeah, I'm from Virginia, and they talking about it on a song, and it made you feel proud. It really did. It made you feel proud. But like those were the folks that I listened to. Like I said, I knew Iverson was from like Newport News, Hampton area and stuff like that, but I really wasn't the biggest Iverson fan. Now, his influence as far as cornrows and shit on us was definitely there, and it was cool to know that Iverson was from Virginia. But I'm not gonna act like I was like, the biggest Iverson fan. No, I was Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was my guy. But it was cool to know that Iverson was from our area. And same, like, getting towards senior year. Yeah, around senior year, this is when Vic is in the league, right? Yeah, Vic's in the league. Matter of fact, 11th, I think we were in 10th grade, maybe? Yeah, 2001, I think is when Vic got in the league. So, when he got in the NFL. So from like 10th grade on, knowing Michael Vick was from, our area too, it was cool, like, knowing that. But at that point in time, it wasn't like what it was for me with music. Now, music it still is to me, very important to me. But as far as that being so starstruck, that I wasn't fazed by the athletes from our area. It was more about the musicians, because that's really what I wanted to do at one point in time, to be a music producer. So to know Timberland was from, the likes of Virginia Beach, Missy was from Portsmouth, Neptunes being from Virginia Beach, Clipse being from Virginia Beach, that was more the joy I had in it, So when I would hear their records, that's what we would play. I played that in the car. I remember playing that in, what was my baby's name? Lucille, my first car. My first car name was Lucille. 87 Taurus name, Lucille. And I would ride around with my brother, and I would play that Clipse album the fuck out. And that's all I did. That was the joy for me. And like I said, during the summers, and like when hearing Jay-Z's Hey Poppy, and it's produced by Timberland. Timberland's in the video. The beat itself, it's just you can't help but rock to that. That was just our time, in high school. But yeah, those were the folks that I was proud to know was from our area of Virginia, Hampton Road 757, growing up. what's a popular food item that you don't like? Coleslaw. I do not like coleslaw in any way, shape, or form. And it's been like that since I was a kid, and maybe that's probably why I don't like it, because I haven't tried it since I was a kid, so maybe that's like a PTSD trauma based some shit. But yeah, I really don't fuck with coleslaw. Like, you can have that shit. Like, go to KFC with the family or friends and shit, that coleslaw is all you. Give me them taters, give me that gravy, right? Macaroni cheese, potato wedges, curly fries, whatever the fuck they got going on. But I don't do coleslaw. Coleslaw is something that I do not like. I do not fuck with it. And yeah, keep that shit off my plate. When and how did you learn how to deal with confrontation? Well, I'm still learning. I'll say I'm still learning as far as confrontation goes. Because I would avoid it. I really would avoid it. I atone that to that nice guy shit. Not wanting to piss anybody off. Not wanting to show displeasure with something. So I would, because I had abandonment issues, and when I would show my aggression, people would leave, and naturally so, because who wants to be talked to like that? I get it, I totally get that. But if you really want to know how I feel, I didn't know how to express anger as well. So as far as dealing with confrontation in a healthy way, it took time. It's taking time. Definitely a lot better, a lot more stoic when it comes to confrontation, like doing the best to be calm. But if it triggers something from, I'll say, like childhood, if a personality triggers something from childhood, I can lose my shit. And it's in the moment too. I do my best to try to catch it. But I know for certain, anything remotely that triggers something that I've gone through in the past, I guess I'm not necessarily done with, I can pop off. Real shit. I can pop the fuck off. And there's no middle ground with it. I'm either super unbothered and don't respond, no emotion, or it's Bruce Banner. It is the Incredible Hulk. I'm doing my best to try to work through that. And again, not putting myself, avoiding situations that will require require such emotion to be used to settle the dispute. And yeah, it's not easy. It's certainly not easy with that challenge of dealing with confrontation and having to use anger. That is one of those things I definitely have to work on, is learning how to effectively express anger, and remembering to say I feel anger and not I'm angry. There's a key difference. There's attachment to it on one of them, and the other one is just talking about an emotion. For instance, there was a situation where when I just moved into my apartment, moving here to Jacksonville, the garbage disposal or the sink there were a few things in the apartment that needed to get fixed. Now, when I first got there, it was all cool or whatever, just talking with the folks up there. They're smiling in your face, you're smiling back, all right, cool. Go up there a second time. This time now there's an issue with the stuff. Hey, you think you guys can get somebody to come check this shit out? Okay. 2 days go by, still nothing. I go up this time. Do you guys think that you can send someone out to fix this shit, to fix the things that, put into the report for just getting into the apartment? And and something with the washer and like the washer and dryer had issues because they wouldn't let me use my washer and dryer, but the washer and dryer that they had issues, and it wasn't I wasn't able to wash clothes. So by the fourth time, or whatever the time I'm on now, I think it's the fourth time. And pretty much this is the fourth time, damn it. All right, I'm going up there and I'm talking to them. I'm now at wit's end. And I'm like, yo, y'all gotta send somebody the fuck out here. And the lady's like, sir, you cannot use that. Like, I understand, you know, and I don't mean to be this harsh, but I've come up here multiple times and talked about this issue and it's not being resolved. How do we work through this? Can you send somebody out there, right? And then eventually they send people out there. And I actually met one of my good friends through this situation because she was working that the issue at the time. You know, she was like I want to say, I forget the type of manager, whatever the manager was, for getting that done. And when I met her, I'm like, yo, I said, listen, I feel anger right now about this situation, the fact that it took this long to get this shit done. All I want to do is just get this stuff done so that I can just relax in the apartment. That's really all it is. I listen, anything I say toward, I believe that I handled that situation in an effective way. I was honest about what I felt, but I didn't say that I was angry. And so as far as learning how to deal with confrontation, books help. Stoicism helps. You know, TED Talks. TED Talks during COVID was a lot of studying and kind of like reinventing yourself and adding new skills to your life and mind. But I was honest about what I felt. I said, I feel angry about this situation. I was explaining to her, I was like, this anger is not towards you because I don't know you guys. But I'm definitely not pleased with how this situation was handled. So they came through. It took them all of an hour to do this shit. Now that's another thing with being pissed off, is like, you had me waiting days for something that could have been done within a fucking hour. But it got done nevertheless. And recently another same situation with my car. The same thing. And it's like trying to learn how to navigate those emotions when talking in business, when talking to your family, when you're talking to your friends. How do you manage this confrontation? And like for me, it depends on the personality. Now, if you like to get into it, there's been situations where we've had to get into it, right? But I do my best to remain as calm as possible when needed. Now, I'm all for, I can have a tough conversation and we can remain calm about it. It's just something we're just uncomfortable speaking on. But if you pop off at me and you have a triggering personality that resembles something that I went through in childhood, like family or, you know, whatever from back home, we might have a nice little screaming match. And then that shows weakness on my part. So I do my best to try to hone that in, to manage those emotions to the best of my ability. But yeah, I mean, learning confrontation and healthy confrontation really was, like I said, just reading TED Talks, learning effective skills, how to deal with difficult people, those things. And of course, Robert Greene's, whole ideology of avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. Like, there's some people that really just, they love attention and they will start unnecessary conflict with you, even if it means getting attention. And it's draining. And I don't like fucking with people. I don't like fucking with draining ass people, honestly. And sometimes it's the people that you love that are draining you. So it's like removing yourself, man, and like loving yourself more, because it's about peace. We're not going to talk to each other like that. and learning to do such. And you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot from a difficult situation, a challenging situation, of course. At the same time, protect your peace. Mind the fucks you give daily. This is not one of them. That's a mantra I like to say quite often. When you recognize, like, oh, this person is in pain and they're projecting onto me, I got to get the fuck out of here because I don't want this shit. This is not what this is not what I'm in this for. And that's another thing I don't care for, is dealing with people. When I have to rely upon you to get shit done, I prefer doing things when it's just me, because some people really don't value things the way you do at times. Now, if it was their shit, yeah, they probably value it and they want to get it done. But when it's like something that you actually want, don't anticipate a person caring for it the way that you do, the way that you would. And if I can do something, if I can live my life and not project that onto people, and that's what the fuck I'm gonna do. But as far as like that working together shit, and you got that person they're lazy as fuck, and then they don't have any regards for other people's time. If I don't have to be around that shit, I ain't fucking with it, especially in business. I've gone to places and I've seen, like, I'm that motherfucker that goes to like a drive-through, right? And if I know that you got poor customer service, I'll never see you again. Like, for sure. I'm not going back to this shit. I'm not going to yell at you. I don't want to talk to the manager. This is what the fuck y'all produce. I'm getting the fuck out of here. That is my mentality when it comes to that shit. Same thing in place of business. If I'm working with you, you're trying to make a sale on this car, and you're not being attentive to the individual that's telling you about the situation with this car, you won't ever see me again. And when there's nothing to talk about, I don't need to yell at you, because I'm the one that look crazy. We're not getting into that. I'm just not gonna fuck with you no more. If I find you to be draining in any way, shape, or form in my life, bye. Goodbye at that. Or bad bye. I don't give a damn which bye, as long as it's a bye. Get the fuck out. That's where my mind goes with that. And it's a gift and a curse. People are human. I deal with it. I'll just deal with the situation. But to answer the question, confrontation. How did I learn to deal with it? I had to get in situations where it was confrontational, and being able to have a confrontational conversation and then ending it peacefully is good. That's the goal. It's the objective. And I learned that a conversation can get loud, a conversation can get bold, but as long as we don't tear each other down, everything's okay. For a lot of times, it's weak for me to tear you down in conversation because I feel like I'm losing the argument. No. We're just gonna talk. I'm gonna give my perspective. You're gonna give yours, and then we're gonna see where that goes from there. And at the end, if we agree, great. If we don't, then we just agree to disagree. That's really all it is, man. There's no right or wrong. Ain't no right or wrong going on. It's just perspective. So, that's how I see it. So, I would say I learned to deal with confrontation probably when I started reading about Stoicism, learning about Taoism, learning about the Four Agreements. So Toltec wisdom kind of taught me that the whole premise of you won't be punished for your anger, you'll be punished by your anger. So I do the best that I can to not put myself in a situation where I have to be angry. I try to, like I said, I avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. As far as confrontation goes, there is healthy confrontation when you have to talk things out like adults. But when you have a conversation with someone and they act like children, they throw tantrums, we're not talking to each other, we're talking at each other. And it's not really what I want to get into. I really don't want to get into a situation where I'm talking at you. I want to talk to you. I want you to feel heard. I want myself to feel heard. My objective is to remove the suffering when I'm in conversation with people. That's what I intend to do. And if I see that you are still looking for chaos, then I'm out. And sometimes without explanation. You can have it. I promise you. Peace will not be compromised. Not now, not moving forward. Peace will not be compromised. But nevertheless, we have reached the end of today's show, right? This week's show, whenever you see it show, this shit is at the end. I thank everyone for listening this long. Grateful for each listener, each watcher, viewer, hater, encourager, whatever it is, man. Just long as the seed got planted to think another perspective, not so much a right or wrong one, just another perspective to take in this life. But this is Romy Mac. I had fun doing this, and I'm out. Good night, kids. What realization have you come to recently in your life? Time, right? It's more about this time and looking how fast time goes. Family recently had, I'm gonna say a moment of like a reality check. Almost losing like one of the matriarchs of this family. And I don't know, man, it was just like time stood still for a little while when I got the news. And it just made me really think about any bullshit grudges, the impact it would have on the family if indeed this did happen. And her not being here anymore, right? And thinking about other family members and just wanting to send them, like I said, continue to send them positive and healing energy to get through whatever it is they're going through. Not even just for this situation, but more so like this shit is all small from space. And that your time here is very limited and it goes by very fast. 40 years went by very fucking fast. I feel like it was only yesterday on the radio on Z104 back home that Spice Girls and Aguilera, you know what I'm saying, Backstreet Boys, the Quad City DJs, the fucking Ghost Town DJs, all of that was playing on the radio. Years have gone by. It's been 30 years since, hearing that. So, and it feels like it was only yesterday that you graduated. But with that being said, you look at the people that have been here before you, and you want them to stay the same age they were when, especially like when you go to like the military, like I did. You want these people to stay the same when every time you come back, but time doesn't wait for anybody. And to watch your parents age, mature, however you want to look at it, to see your grandparents age, mature, preparing for the, not having but so many summers and springs and winters and Christmases left. You don't know, man, what's left. But the realization when that moment hit and I got that call and they were talking about the matriarch of this family almost was gone. It was such, like, and immediately it didn't hit me. And that's in most cases, like when there's ascensions in the family or in my life, it doesn't hit me initially until I sit back and one situation is like calm, and then I assess that, what would that mean for me? What does that mean for our family? What does it mean for just many things? It really sat on me for a very, very long time. And still, I still think about it daily. And I think like what life that she got to see getting to this point. Like growing up in a world where, racism was what it was when she first came into this world. Then to stay, be on this earth long enough to see a black president, right? And just different things, like the world that she grew up in no longer exists no more. And I'm old enough and the people my age, we're old enough to say the same thing. The world that we grew up in does not exist anymore. And learning to adapt to whatever the present world is, and seeing a lot of different perspectives, right, that come about in this life when you get around people, depending on where they come from, and just seeing hate being spewed, projected so many ways. And I mean, it's programming, don't get me wrong, it's social programming, of course. But like, once it hits, how do you deal with it, man? Like, thinking like how casually death used to be talked about in song growing up, right? I've never had, in my experience in life, it has only been one person that I've heard that I knew that was taken out by a gunshot, right? It was, a classmate. It was a classmate from high school. And we all grew up together, We grew up from, I say 8th grade, middle school, us being all together in the same school. And then learning about her death 3 months after we just graduated, right? Was it 3 months? No, about 5. It was 5 months. 5 months after we graduated. And to know, what I'm saying? Like, to know somebody, but for it to be casually talked about in a song, and it just becomes so numb and shit. And then, like, when you actually have death happen to your family, and it comes at the hands of somebody else's hand, man, that is a pain that I don't want anyone to really have to experience, but that is life, but just thinking about my grandma, you know what I mean? One of my grandmas, and I'm grateful that both of my grandmas are still living. But to think about that like her having to ascend, and all of the stuff all the moments that individually we've all had with her. And no family member is greater than the other. I'm not here to say that or anything, because we've had a lot of ascensions recently. And everybody's relationship is different, but that right there, like being one of the people that kind of keep this thing going, and for that time, thinking it was going to be that time, it was a challenge. It was definitely much a challenge. So the realization again goes back to time. And how important time is. You got goals you want to work on. There's a sacrifice that comes with that, because you're not going to be able to spend time with a lot of people that you value trying to get said goals. And it's going to benefit in the long run, of course. And it's a vision that only you have. But it's remembering to be in the moment with those that you love. And sometimes you can forget to do so because of what you're so focused and driven. And I don't know, it just made me kind of stop and realize how fast time was going. And I look at like my kid, my kid is a grown ass woman now. And I'm still seeing her as this little girl that was in the SpongeBob and, the Brat dolls and whatever, Chronicles of Narnia, having me watch the Wizards of Waverly Place. This is a grown ass woman now. And where does time go? Right? And learning to respect that too. Because you see it as this is my baby and forever will be, but she's her own woman now. She's her own person. She's her own person then. It's just that she's an adult now. And you gotta figure out this life just as much as we had to. For all those of us 40 and up, and not anybody else, that, age has been between us, not just like 40 and up. You had to look at it. But what I'm saying is that this life, man, that realization of time and knowing that you don't, nothing's promised. Nothing's promised to us. But being able to appreciate the time spent, right? And recognize that nothing is yours, because if it was, you wouldn't lose it. So nothing here is yours. To appreciate everything, people, moments, material things. All of this is temporary. and to be grateful for the time that you have spent with those that you value, right? Nothing lasts forever. Nothing. It doesn't. And that was the realization that I had with time. So, yeah, it just gave me something to think about, been thinking about. And all I'm saying is that I'm very grateful for the times spent with whoever, however long it lasted. Whether we were close when we were younger, whether, we've grown apart, whether we used to date, whether, we were about to get married, or whatever it was, what I'm saying, the time spent in life, I'm grateful for it. But, yeah, realization recently I've come to, just understanding about time. Waits for no one.
Roll me mad.